All right, ready to dive deep.
Let's do it.
Today, we're going on a journey through the history of social media, unearthing the roots of how we connect online, tracing a path from those first digital whispers to the social media giants that, well, kind of dominate our world today.
Absolutely.
I've got a stack of research here, and with your expert guidance,
Yeah, happy to help.
we're going to uncover some truly fascinating insights.
It's a story full of innovation, ambition,
Yeah.
and even some cautionary tales.
For sure.
Who would have thought that the simple act of sharing a thought online would evolve into a force that shapes global culture, commerce, and even politics, right?
Exactly. Wild to think how far we've come. Let's rewind the clock way even before the internet as we know it.
Okay.
I was surprised to learn that the urge to connect and share information predates the digital age.
It does, yeah.
We're talking telegraphs, bulletin boards,
Yeah,
even those old school community newsletters.
absolutely. Those early forms of communication, while limited in reach and speed, were driven by the same fundamental human need to connect with others, share experiences, and exchange information. Think of it like passing notes in class, but on a much, much grander scale.
So how did those early forms of communication evolve into the social media platforms we know today? What were those pivotal moments that set the stage for the digital revolution?
Well, the arrival of the internet in the 1990s was a monumental shift.
Huge.
Services like CompuServe, Prodigy, and America Online brought digital communication to the masses, introducing millions to the world of email, chat rooms, and online forums. Remember those dial-up modem sounds?
Oh, I vaguely recall those days. It's hard to believe that was considered cutting edge back then. So these online services were essentially the precursors to social media platforms, right? They allowed people to connect and communicate in ways that just weren't possible before.
Precisely. They fostered a sense of online community and paved the way for the emergence of platforms specifically designed for social networking. Think of them as the building blocks, laying the foundation for what was to come.
And then came the first true social networking sites, like 6 Degrees, which launched way back in 1997.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think that this was happening before the dot-com bubble even peaked.
I know. What's fascinating about 6 Degrees is that it introduced several concepts that we now consider essential to social media.
Okay.
Users could create profiles, connect with friends, and even see their degrees of separation from other users, a concept popularized by the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon game.
That's incredible. It's like they planted the seeds for what social media would become. But as we know, 6 Degrees didn't last. What happened? Why didn't it take off the way later platforms did?
6 Degrees was ahead of its time. The internet infrastructure was still evolving, and the user base wasn't quite large enough to sustain a platform solely dedicated to social networking. It's like trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation that's not quite ready. It also lacks some key features that later platforms would capitalize on, like easy photo sharing and the ability to create groups and events.
So it was a case of right idea, wrong time.
Exactly. But it's important to remember that 6 Degrees laid the groundwork for what was to come. It proved that people were eager to connect online and that social networking had the potential to transform how we interact.
And transform it did. The early 2000s saw the rise of platforms like Friendster and MySpace, which quickly gained millions of users and became cultural phenomena.
Yeah.
It was the era of customizable profiles, with people spending hours perfecting their digital personas.
MySpace, in particular, captured the zeitgeist of the early internet.
Yeah.
It was all about self-expression, connecting with friends and bands, and discovering new music. Remember those auto-playing background songs and the endless customization options?
Oh, absolutely. It was a bit chaotic at times, but it had a certain charm. MySpace was actually the most visited website in the world for a time, even surpassing Google in 2006. It seemed unstoppable.
It did seem that way, didn't it? But MySpace's dominance wouldn't last. It's a classic example of how quickly the social media landscape can shift.
Yeah.
Its inability to adapt to changing user preferences, its struggles with spam and security issues, and the emergence of a more user-friendly competitor, Facebook, all contributed to its decline.
It's almost like a digital Darwinism, with platforms constantly evolving and adapting to survive.
Right.
And speaking of adaptation, Facebook revolutionized the social media game. From its humble beginnings as the Facebook exclusive to college students, it became a global giant, connecting billions of people worldwide.
What's interesting about Facebook is how it capitalized on the need for a cleaner, more intuitive interface. It also expanded beyond college campuses, making it accessible to people of all ages and backgrounds. Features like the news feed and the like button further enhanced user engagement, creating a more dynamic and interactive experience.
That Facebook's impact extends far beyond personal connections. It's become a powerful tool for businesses, allowing them to reach vast audiences with targeted advertising.
Absolutely. Facebook's ability to collect vast amounts of user data and deliver highly targeted ads revolutionized digital marketing.
For sure.
Businesses suddenly had a powerful tool to reach specific audiences with personalized messages.
It's incredible how Facebook has shaped not only how we connect with each other, but also how businesses operate and how information is disseminated.
Oh, it really has.
But before we get too deep into the Facebook era, let's rewind a bit and talk about a platform that emerged around the same time, but with a completely different focus: LinkedIn.
Ah, yes. LinkedIn saw a gap in the social media landscape. While Facebook was connecting friends and family, LinkedIn recognized the need for a professional networking platform, a place where colleagues, businesses, and job seekers could connect. It filled that niche brilliantly and has maintained its position as a leading professional social network to this day.
It's fascinating how each platform caters to a specific aspect of our lives. While Facebook might be the virtual equivalent of a family gathering, LinkedIn is more like a professional conference, with everyone dressed up in their digital suits, ready to network and advance their careers.
That's a great analogy. LinkedIn allows users to showcase their skills, experience, and connections, making it a valuable tool for career advancement. It also provides a platform for businesses to connect with potential employees, partners, and clients.
So we've got Facebook for personal connections, LinkedIn for professional networking. What's next in this evolution of social media?
Well, in 2006, a new platform emerged that would revolutionize how we consume and share information in real time: Twitter.
Yes, Twitter, the land of 280 characters or less. It's amazing how they managed to pack so much information and conversation into such a limited space.
Twitter's constraint actually became its strength. It forced users to be concise and creative, distilling their thoughts and ideas into bite-sized messages. It brought a sense of immediacy and urgency to social media, allowing for real-time updates, breaking news, and public conversations on a global scale.
Twitter also became a powerful platform for social and political movements, giving a voice to the voiceless and facilitating global conversations around important issues. Remember the Arab Spring uprisings? Twitter played a crucial role in disseminating information and mobilizing protesters.
Absolutely. Twitter's impact on social and political discourse is undeniable.
Yeah.
It allows for rapid dissemination of information, bypassing traditional media gatekeepers, and giving individuals the power to share their perspectives and experiences with the world.
It's incredible how a platform designed for sharing short messages could have such a profound impact on global events. But the evolution of social media didn't stop there. The rise of visual-centric platforms like Instagram and Pinterest brought a whole new dimension to how we connect and share online.
You're right. Instagram, with its focus on photo and video sharing, completely changed the game. It made visual storytelling accessible to everyone, not just professional photographers. And with its user-friendly filters and editing tools, it became incredibly easy to create and share visually appealing content.
It's like Instagram tapped into our innate desire to express ourselves visually. Suddenly, everyone became a photographer, capturing and sharing moments from their lives in a way that words simply couldn't convey.
Precisely. Instagram also introduced new ways to connect and engage. Features like Stories, which allow users to share temporary content, added a sense of spontaneity and intimacy to the platform. It's like sharing a glimpse into your everyday life, giving followers a behind-the-scenes look at your world.
And speaking of sharing glimpses into our world, Snapchat took the concept of ephemeral content to a whole new level with its disappearing messages. It was a game changer, particularly for younger generations who valued privacy and fleeting moments.
What's fascinating about Snapchat is that it challenged the notion that everything on social media had to be permanent and public. It created a space for more casual, authentic interactions, where users could share moments without the pressure of creating a lasting digital record.
It's like passing a note in class knowing it'll be destroyed after it's read. It adds a sense of playfulness and freedom to online communication.
Exactly. And Snapchat's innovations like filters and augmented reality lenses have influenced other platforms as well. You now see similar features on Instagram, Facebook, and even TikTok.
It's a prime example of how platforms learn from each other, constantly evolving and adapting to stay relevant.
They do.
And then there's Pinterest, which took a completely different approach with its concept of pinning images to themed boards.
Yeah.
It's like a virtual scrapbook, allowing users to curate and share their interests and inspirations.
Pinterest tapped into the desire for visual organization and inspiration. It's become a go-to platform for finding ideas for everything from recipes and home decor to fashion and travel.
It's a visual search engine, essentially. Instead of typing in keywords, you're browsing images and getting ideas based on what you see. It's a very intuitive and engaging way to explore different topics.
Absolutely. And it's a powerful tool for businesses as well. Pinterest allows them to showcase their products visually and reach a highly engaged audience of users actively seeking inspiration and ideas.
It's amazing how social media has evolved into this multifaceted ecosystem, with platforms catering to every interest and need imaginable. And as technology continues to advance, the evolution shows no signs of slowing down. In fact, it feels like things are changing faster than ever, with AI, short-form video, and decentralized networks all vying for our attention.
You're absolutely right. The pace of innovation is accelerating, and the future of social media is brimming with possibilities. But it's also important to acknowledge the challenges and concerns that have emerged alongside these advancements.
Exactly. As with any powerful tool, social media has its downsides.
Yeah.
Misinformation, privacy issues, mental health impacts. These are all serious concerns that we need to address as we navigate this increasingly complex digital landscape.
Yeah, it's a real double-edged sword, isn't it?
It is. It feels like we're at a crossroads where the incredible potential of social media is kind of bumping up against some serious societal concerns.
Right.
How do we harness the power of connection while mitigating the risks?
That's the million-dollar question. And there's no easy answer. It
Yeah.
requires a multifaceted approach involving platform accountability, media literacy education, and just thoughtful user engagement, really.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. When you say platform accountability, what does that look like in practice?
Platforms need to take greater responsibility for the content that's shared on their sites. That means investing in more robust content moderation systems to combat misinformation and hate speech. It also means being more transparent about how their algorithms work and how user data is being collected and used.
So it's like they're the landlords of these digital spaces, and they have responsibility to ensure those spaces are safe and welcoming for everyone.
Exactly. And just like in the physical world, there need to be rules and consequences to ensure responsible behavior.
And what about media literacy education? What role does that play in navigating the social media landscape?
Media literacy is crucial. It's about equipping people with the skills to critically evaluate information, to distinguish fact from fiction, and to understand how media messages are constructed and disseminated. It's about empowering users to be discerning consumers of information, not passive recipients.
So it's not just about knowing how to use social media platforms, but also understanding the broader context in which they operate. It's like learning to read the fine print, understanding the motivations and biases behind the content we're consuming.
Precisely. It's about developing a critical eye and a healthy skepticism, not taking everything at face value.
And what about user engagement? How can individuals contribute to a healthier social media environment?
It starts with being mindful of our own online behavior.
Right
That
on.
means being respectful of others, even when we disagree. It means being cautious about sharing information without verifying its accuracy. And it means taking breaks from social media when we need to prioritize our mental health and well-being.
So it's like practicing good digital citizenship, being aware of our impact on others, and taking responsibility for our actions.
Exactly. It's about creating a culture of empathy, respect, and accountability online.
So as we look ahead to the future of social media, what are some of the trends and innovations that have you particularly excited or intrigued?
One trend that I'm particularly interested in is the rise of decentralized social networks. These platforms utilize blockchain technology to distribute control and ownership, giving users greater control over their data and privacy. It's a potential shift away from the centralized power of platforms like Facebook and Twitter.
So instead of having our data stored and controlled by a single company, it's distributed across a network, making it more difficult to manipulate or censor.
Exactly. It's about empowering individuals and fostering a more democratic and transparent online environment.
It's a fascinating concept. It sounds like it could address many of the concerns we've been discussing about data privacy and platform accountability.
It has the potential to do so. Of course, decentralized social networks are still in their early stages and there are challenges to overcome, but it's an exciting area to watch.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that the social media landscape is constantly evolving. What seems impossible today could become commonplace tomorrow. And that brings us back to the importance of adaptation, both for platforms and for users.
You're right. The only constant in the world of social media is change. And as users, we need to be adaptable, discerning, and engaged. We need to stay informed about the latest developments, critically evaluate the information we encounter, and use our voices to shape a social media landscape that reflects our values and aspirations.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from the early days of bulletin boards and chat rooms to the rise of social media giants and the emergence of new trends like decentralized networks. It's been quite a journey.
It has been, and it underscores how social media has become an integral part of our lives, shaping how we communicate, connect, and interact with the world around us. It's a powerful tool with immense potential for good and for ill.
And as we wrap up this exploration, we want to leave our listeners with a final thought. The future of social media is not predetermined. It's being shaped right now by the choices we make as users, developers, and citizens. What kind of social media world do you want to see? Let's choose wisely, engage thoughtfully, and create a digital landscape that fosters connection, understanding, and positive change.
Well said. It's been a pleasure diving into this topic with you. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep questioning. It really is. It's a landscape full of, opportunity and pitfalls.
Definitely. And it feels like, as we were saying, we're at this crossroads. We've got this incredible potential of social media, but then it's bumping up against some pretty serious societal concerns.
Absolutely.
So I guess, the question is, how do we harness the power of connection while still mitigating those risks? It's a tough one.
It is a tough one. It's it's the question that everyone's grappling with right now. And there's no easy answer, right? No silver bullet. It requires a kind of a multifaceted approach, I think, involving platform accountability for one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We need media literacy education and ultimately just more thoughtful user engagement overall.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. When you say platform accountability, what does that actually look like in practice? What needs to happen?
Well, platforms need to take greater responsibility for the content that's being shared on their sites, right?
Yeah.
That means investing in more robust content moderation systems to combat misinformation and hate speech, things like that.
Right.
It also means, just being more transparent about how their algorithms work and how user data is being collected and used, all that stuff that happens behind the scenes.
It's almost like, they're the landlords of these digital spaces.
That's a great way to put it.
They have that responsibility then to make sure that those spaces are safe and welcoming for everyone.
Absolutely. And just like in the physical world, there need to be rules and consequences to ensure that, people are behaving responsibly.
Right. Makes sense. And then you mentioned media literacy education. What role does that play in navigating the social media landscape?
Oh, media literacy is crucial. I mean, it's about equipping people with the skills to critically evaluate information, right? Being able to distinguish fact from fiction, and to understand how these media messages are constructed and disseminated, how they get out there. It's about empowering users to be discerning consumers of information, not just, passive recipients soaking it all in.
So it's not just about knowing how to use social media platforms, right? It's about understanding the broader context in which they operate.
Exactly.
It's like learning to read the fine print, right?
Yeah.
Understanding the motivations and biases behind the content we're consuming.
Exactly. It's about developing a critical eye and, a healthy skepticism. Yeah. Not just taking everything at face value.
And what about, user engagement?
Right.
How can individuals contribute to a healthier social media environment? Because we all have a part to play, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it starts with being mindful of our own, online behavior.
Yeah.
That means, being respectful of others, even when we disagree. It means being cautious about sharing information without verifying its accuracy.
Right.
And it means, taking breaks from social media when we need to prioritize our mental health and well-being.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so easy to get caught up in that constant scroll.
Totally. So it's like practicing good digital citizenship.
Exactly.
Being aware of our impact on others and taking responsibility for our actions.
Exactly. It's about creating a culture of empathy, respect, and accountability online. All those things we strive for in the real world.
Okay, so looking ahead then to the future of social media. What are some of the trends and innovations that have you particularly excited or intrigued? What's catching your eye these days?
Well, one trend that I'm really interested in is the rise of decentralized social networks.
Okay.
These are platforms that utilize blockchain technology to distribute control and ownership, essentially giving users greater control over their data and privacy. It's a potential shift, really, away from the centralized power of platforms like Facebook and Twitter.
So instead of having all our data stored and controlled by a single company,
Yeah.
it's distributed across this network, which then makes it much more difficult to manipulate or censor.
Exactly. It's about empowering individuals and fostering a more democratic and transparent online environment.
That's a fascinating concept. It sounds like it could address a lot of those concerns that we were just talking about, right? About data privacy and platform accountability.
It definitely has the potential to do so. Of course, decentralized social networks are still in their early stages,
Right.
and there are challenges to overcome. But it's a really exciting area to watch.
Absolutely. It's a good reminder that the social media landscape is constantly evolving, right?
Always.
What seems impossible today could become, completely commonplace tomorrow.
Yep,
And that kind of brings us back to the importance of adaptation,
it does.
both for the platforms themselves and for us, the users.
You're right. The only constant in the world of social media is change. And as users, we need to be adaptable.
Yeah.
We need to be discerning, and we need to be engaged. We need to, stay informed about the latest developments, critically evaluate the information we're encountering, and use our voices to shape a social media landscape that really reflects our values and aspirations.
Well said.
Yay.
We've covered a lot of ground today in this deep dive.
We have.
From the early days of bulletin boards and chat rooms to the rise of the social media giants, and now the emergence of new trends like these decentralized networks. It's been quite a journey.
It has, and I think it underscores how social media has just become this integral part of our lives, shaping how we communicate, how we connect, and how we interact with the world around us. It's a powerful tool with immense potential for good and for ill.
Yeah, for sure. And as we wrap up this exploration, we want to leave our listeners with a final thought. The future of social media is not predetermined, right? It's being shaped right now by the choices that we make as users, as developers, and as citizens. What kind of social media world do you want to see? Let's all choose wisely, engage thoughtfully, and really create a digital landscape that fosters connection, understanding, and positive change.
Well said. It's been a pleasure diving into this topic with you. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep questioning.